that we come to you, Lord, just thanking you for the opportunity and the privilege to sit here in this chair and make decisions. We ask for your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding. Kingdom, oh God, giving you glory, honor, and praise. These are all blessings we ask and thanks we give. In the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Let us stand. Pledge allegiance.
Thank you very much, Ms. English. That brings us to item 4 on our agenda, which is approval of minutes. Item 4A is our regular session of July 20th. The chair entertains a motion for adoption of the minutes for July 20th.
Move.
It's been moved
Second.
and it's been properly second. Any discussion reference the minutes for July 20th? There being none, I'll ask Ms. Black to call the roll for the motion to adopt the minutes for July 20th.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passed.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 4B, zoning public hearing minutes for July 27th. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and properly second. Mr. Malinowski, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 23 of these minutes, number 2, which is case number 21-019MA, during that particular item, I gave a very detailed explanation of why I recommended approval in spite of the Planning Commission and staff recommendation for disapproval. And I would like to make sure that that detailed information becomes a part of these minutes so anybody reviewing it can see why that was voted as approved, that my colleagues agreed to that.
Okay, so the motion would include insertion of Mr. Malinowski's comments he was referring to. Any questions with that? If not, we'll just add that to the minutes and approve the minutes as amended with that information. If there are no objections, I'll ask Mrs. Black to call the roll.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey, English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That brings us to item 4C, which is a special call meeting minutes for July 27th. Chair, entertain a motion.
So move, Mr.
It's
Chair.
moved
Second.
and properly second. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll ask Ms. Black to call the roll for the vote for the July 27th minutes.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes?
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That brings us to item 4D, special call meeting minutes for August 16th. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and properly second. Any discussion? Mr. Malinowski, you recognize.
Hey, Mr. Chair, like the last one, I know there were additional comments that I had made during this particular motion prior to the vote, and I would just like to make sure they become part of this record,
Can
that's
you
all.
be specific about where those comments were that you were talking about?
This was a special call, we only had the one,
that one? Okay.
that one item on there, right?
Thank you.
It would have been right after the item about asking the question, masks are to be worn in schools only, not on playgrounds and sporting events or outside.
That's reference the minutes. If not, I'll ask Ms. Black to call the roll for the adoption of the minutes for August 16th.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes?
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Our next item on our agenda is item 5, which is the adoption of the agenda. The chair entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
Motion for adopt. Is the second?
Second.
And properly second. Let me ask Mr. Brown first. Are there any changes, deletions?
No, Mr. Chair, no changes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. McBride, recognized.
I have a correction. Wait until that item, it's, item 17A.
Okay, but you don't want to remove from the agenda, do you?
No, sir.
So we'll take it up and get to the agenda.
Okay.
We'll leave it on the agenda. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
You recognize?
I just wanted a clarification for item 7. Is there an A, an item A? It just begins at B. Are we missing anything?
This is plain.
No, ma'am, it's just misnumbered.
Thank you. I'll ask you recognize.
Also, Mr. Chair, on item C and D, it's saying that we have to take action. I don't know about anybody else. I did not receive any information so that I know what action we're supposed to be taking here.
I'm at item 7.
7C and D.
So we'll discuss those when we get to them too. Further questions? If not, then with that suggestion, then we'll just ask Mrs. Black to call the roll for the motion to adopt the agenda.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Teratio.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That brings us to item 6 on your agenda. That is a presentation of a proclamation. That's a proclamation recognizing the life and work of Jim Stokowski. Ms. English, do you have that resolution?
Ms. Tamar Blacks has it.
That to be added to him tonight.
I'm reading and presenting. A proclamation recognizing the life and work of Jim Stokowski. James Thomas Jim Stokowski, Jr. was born November 23, 1962 in Detroit, Michigan. He would find his way to South Carolina where he would leave his legacy. Whereas Jim Stokowski had a love of animals, hiking, reading, and going to the opera, he was a perfect fit for the Richland County Libraries. In 2008, he started as a branch librarian before becoming a manager of the Sand Hills location. Whereas Jim Stokowski graduated the library's leadership program in 2009 and was the recipient of the Outside Over the Learning Grant in 2015. The grant provided $1,000 that allowed Mr. Stokowski to travel to Chicago, Illinois, and Madison, Wisconsin to explore makerspace engagement and technology. He stated, "Sometimes a trip just really brings something home, something you knew, but knew better by seeing it somewhere else." Whereas he was influential in the leading of the library staff through the construction of a state-of-the-art joint facility, which was the first of its kind in South Carolina. He developed a key partnership with Richland County School District 2. Whereas he was a vital member and well-respected and dedicated supervisor that engaged his customers to ensure they had a great experience. He encouraged staff to flourish, with educational experiences promoted, team building, and a nurturing work environment. Now therefore be it proclaimed that council members Cheryl English and Paul Livingston recognize Mr. Jim Stokowski's life and dedication to the Richland County Libraries. Mr. Stokowski was an asset to the community and a true leader that will be greatly missed. And his partner is here to receive the proclamation.
And I just wanted to say thank you so much for this proclamation. He would be astonished and humbled by this recognition by County Council. I just want to say thank you so much.
And as County Council, I want to especially thank you. Bring us to item 7 on our agenda, which is a report of the acting county attorney for executive session items. Ms. McLean, you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 items on the report tonight. That's 7B, a legal update on Allen Wilson v. City of Columbia. Item 7C, Crown Point Development LLC and Mirrorville LLC versus Richland County. That's a road closure case. And also 7D, Greater Columbia Community Development Corp., formerly known as Greater Christian Ministries, Inc., versus SCDOT, Richland County Department of Public Works, and City of Columbia. That's also a road closure case. All of those are acceptable for executive session if council so chooses, pursuant to South Carolina Code of Laws 30-4-70A2. There's no outside counsel this evening.
Pick those up then on the item 18, which is executive session items that does not require any outside. That brings to item 8 on your agenda, which is citizens input, and that's why items on the agenda not requiring a public hearing. Ms. McBride, did anyone sign up to speak?
Yes, sir. We have one person, Reverend Kenneth Spry. Mrs. Spry, would you please come forward?
Greetings, Council, Chair, Mr. Livingston. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to speak on behalf of the Sarah Matthews Wages Road Community Pavement. It's supposed to have been on the agenda when the penny tax was passed, and the council decided that they were going to be paving roads, and Wages Road, as of this day, is not paved yet. And I wanted to find out what was the status, why it wasn't paved, and when it's projected to be paved. The second thing, with the amount of money that's coming into the Richland County from the Accelerate South Carolina, want to make sure or ask that a youth jobs program be established for the next 5 years. At least 2,000 inner city poverty-stricken youth ages 14 to 17 had an opportunity to work. I would like to see at least $20 million set aside for those programs, if not that much, some towards that. But in the past, I don't think hardly any money has been set aside with the major issues that we have in our communities in Richland County, with the amount of gangs, the amount of violence, the amount of killings, the amount of shootings on a daily basis. In the summertime, it will reduce the amount of young people that's getting in major trouble, the killings, teenage pregnancy, school dropout, and Sheriff Lott says his programs can't do it alone. And I'm quite sure of that. So I'm asking that some of that money be invested in our youth. And I don't feel that none of it has been invested in the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll certainly make sure that you get a follow-up on your question regarding Sarah Matthews paving.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So that citizen input, which is item 8.
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Chair, just let the record reflect that last gentleman, that is not an item on the agenda and that it actually belongs under 9A.
That brings us to item 9. 9A is an item that's Not on the agenda. Ms. Mc,
Yeah, this was items,
this item will be taken up at the end of the agenda.
so you,
Our rules, this item will be taken up at the end of the meeting, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm saying 9A. Second public hearing.
not on their, as citizens' input for items not on the agenda, not requiring a public hearing.
Yes, it's here on our agenda, but unfortunately, our rules state when it's to be presented to council. But if wishes to read the rules and go ahead and hear it now, that's fine, but
Mr. Chair, I believe that Vice Chair McBride is correct, that the way they are right now, that it is the first one, then the second one.
Just not consistent with our rules, but you're right.
Okay.
So if there's no objection, then we go ahead and hear it now.
Chair, Mr. Abdullah Mustafa with the Sankofa Institute has signed up. Ms. Pamela Greenland and Ms. Elaine Cooper, all three are with the Sankofa Institute. Each will have 2 minutes to speak. Mr.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, members. I want to greet you, peace and blessing to each and one of you. I gave each and every one of you one of these right here. I am the Executive Director of Sankofa Institute. Former Councilwoman Ms. Kennedy awarded Sankofa Institute $175,000 for the purpose of Peace Unity Concert. As you have the first page here is my communication with your grant, Mr. Totter. And what they're saying is that Sankofa did not complete the necessary document, which is not true, okay? I completed the initial Sankofa information, which is part 1. Part 2 is planned for an event, advertisement. Prior to Mr. Totter calling me in reference email, he should have notified the clerk council and put the motion back on the table to award Sankofa its award letter. That didn't happen. On the second page, you'll see where the communication with Ms. Michelle Only communicating
Mustafa,
with.
excuse me, please do not call any names.
Sure, okay then. You'll see where the clerk of council was communicating with former Councilwoman Kennedy in regards to awarded $175,000. You also see on the third page where there was, I gave you a motion to place on the agenda. I thought it was read and clinched and approved, which was not. And then on the following page, the organization did receive $10,000 project from this discretionary. Therefore, they were already qualified. One of the issues was that Sankofa was not vetted, which Sankofa had already gotten a $10,000 grant, so it was already vetted. December 19th was a new policy. All organizations must be vetted, okay? I was vetted. They're saying that Sankofa did not do the process, and we did.
Time.
So we're asking council as a collective.
I'm happy to ask you to wrap it up since your time.
Yes, sir. We're asking that the council as a collective would assist Sankofa in the community in this particular event, because we have everything already lined up.
Thank you.
And in addition to that, if the council would be kind enough, each council giving $16,000 apiece, that comes to $176,000.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Time expired.
The next person is Ms. Pamela Greenland. Please remember you only have 2 minutes, and please do not call any names. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Pamela Greenlaw, Greenlaw, and I have worked with Mr. Abdullah Mustafa. His institute does a lot of good in the community, And I'm going to ask what he was wanting to ask, which is if the council will clear up the confusion of the emails and what happened. And to please do this within a week so that this can be put onto the agenda for a council vote. It was never put onto an agenda, and there were assurances made, it's taken care of, you've got it, and then came to find out it was not. And so this is an event coming up October 9th, and there's really no time to really delay. We're not asking to go to the front of a line. We're asking to be where it would normally have been had all procedures been followed. Thank you very much.
Lane Cooper.
Hello. I respectfully ask on behalf of Mr. Mustafa and the Sankofa Institute that this whole process that he's talking about, which is the H-taxes to go towards bringing in tourism. I mean, my God, during these times of COVID, when all these businesses have suffered throughout Richland County, I really do believe that people could use some peace and love, and it would bring in a great deal of folks into Columbia and would boost our business. So please consider discussing openly. Mr. Mustafa does have documents that document this entire process. That's all we're asking is for you all to look into this and discuss this. Thank you, respectively.
No one else signed up.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for taking the time to come and share your views on this particular issue. We will certainly make sure the administrator and his staff will get back to you all based on anything we decide. That brings us to item 10 on the agenda, which is a report of the county administrator. Mr. Brown, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. In your packet, you have my report. I'm going to take a few moments and cover a number of items. I'll try to be brief. First, under the report, you will see the council memorandum that was sent to council. We do have a new appointed assistant county administrator who is here. I would ask him to come to the podium on my right. His name is Mr. Eric Jensen. So he's going to come up, kind of formally introduce himself to you in person. Certainly you have his bio information there. And it'll give you the opportunity to speak with Mr. Jensen this afternoon. Mr. Jensen.
Thank you, Administrator Brown. You know, I was led to believe that this meeting was called especially just to introduce me, but no, I'm just kidding. No. I've been around the block way too long for that. It's as you see in my bio there, I've been in the public and private sector in development and in community planning for a little over 20 years. I was actually 18 years old the first time I attended a planning commission meeting on behalf of a customer. My father is an attorney and a real estate broker in Los Angeles, and he had a client in Utah where I was attending school, and he asked me to attend the planning commission meeting. I was woefully unprepared, and I embarrassed myself. Fortunately, that record has long since been expunged from the record, and so nobody can go back and look and see how poorly I did. What is that? 30 years ago. So I'm very proud to be here before you today. This is an exciting thing. As you'll notice from the record that I'm not from around here. I'm from the West Coast. I grew up in Los Angeles. Spent 20 years in northern Utah after attending the University of Utah. That's where I met my wife. Spent the last 5 years in northern Nevada. I lost my wife to cancer this spring, and it was about that time that the recruiter for the county reached out to me and offered me this opportunity. And then it was kind of in that vein, this vein of starting over and fresh, that my family and I accepted this position, and we're very grateful for it. I look forward to working with you. As you'll notice, although I don't appear from it, I actually come from a Spanish-Latin background. My father was born in Utah but lived much of his childhood in South America. My stepmother, who raised me since I was about 5 years old, is from Chile. She came to the United States. She immigrated in her early 20s. Met my father, who was doing immigration work, and he helped her through with her visa, and that's kind of how they met. So I grew up speaking Spanish in the home. I have family in South America still, and in addition to friends and relatives. So if you happen to speak Spanish, love to converse with you. It's always good to stay current. So lo agradezco mucho. Es un gusto estar con ustedes. Así se puede saber que sí, de verdad, soy un hispanohablante. So anyway, I just said, yep, welcome, glad to be here. You can see I really do speak Spanish. I wasn't faking it. So anyway, again, pleasure to be with you. Very grateful. This is a great team. I can't tell you how wonderful it was. When I was going through the interview process, and we had a Zoom meeting with Mr. Brown and with Dr. Thompson, or Dr. T as I like to call him, and Lori, it was such a refreshing, wonderful thing. And when we got here and we went to lunch, and I brought my daughter with me, my 12-year-old. I have 3 kids, but I brought the youngest with me because if she didn't want to come here, then I wasn't coming. That was no. And so when we went to lunch, and they treated her so kindly, and she said to me as we were driving back to the airport, she said, "Dad, I can live here. I can do this." And so that's when I decided that I would take this. So again, thank you so much. The community's been wonderful. They've welcomed us, and we're very excited to be here. So thank you.
We certainly look forward to it.
Say it again, Mr. Chair.
We certainly look forward to working with you, too.
Oh, likewise. Thank you very much. Pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Malinas, you're recognized.
Before Mr. Jensen leaves, what made you consider going 3,000 miles for a job? And we're only paying you, right? Because you said you and your family accepted the job. We're only paying you, right?
Yes. Well, you know how that goes, don't you? You know how much do you really keep and how much goes to your family? Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So I'll tell you exactly the moment when it was. So it was such an unconventional interview process, and Mr. Brown and I think we really hit it off. At least I felt we did in our Zoom conversations. And so when I decided when he offered me the position, I said, my condition is I have to fly out first, and I have to walk the community, and I have to meet your team in person. Because, even in this world, of COVID, it's all about relationships. It's all about people. And so, we came out, and we drove around the community on a Sunday afternoon. We literally arrived midnight on a Saturday night, and we drove around the community Sunday afternoon. On Monday, I met with the staff here. I met with actually the CP&D staff first, really, and then we went to lunch with Dr. Thompson and I and Lori and Mr. Brown, and we sat down to eat, and we were at a barbecue place, and we were eating. And first of all, Mr. Brown was very differential. He said, "Do you mind if we eat family style?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I'm a family guy. I have so many cousins. My in-laws have 26 grandchildren, so I was like, yeah, family style, sure, And then the food came, and he turned and he said, and I want to say it was to a Shia, but I can't remember who it was. To somebody, he said, "Would you please say grace?" Which is something that's very foreign in the public sector, back west where I come from. And we did. And we held hands at the table. And I knew at that moment, for me personally, from my personal background, that was a testimony or witness to me to say, this is the right place for me to be. This is where I want my family to be. That's the environment I want. So anyway, so to answer your question, that I can tell you that was the defining moment for me.
Dziękuję pan, ale ja nie mówię español tylko po polsku. Now that just says, thank you, sir. I don't speak Spanish, just Polish.
Polish, I was going to say.
Ms. McBride,
that was an odd dialect of Spanish. I didn't know that
one. I'm going to wait for him to teach me something before I try it, Ms. Malowski. Ms. McBride, you recognize.
Welcome.
Mr. Jensen, I wonder why our administrator did not introduce you to council members.
Oh, man.
Just kidding. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Mr. Chair. Jensen, welcome to the team, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Jensen. Mr. Jensen, did the administrator treat you to vinegar-based or mustard-based barbecue?
well, okay. So, first of all, he threw me off, or it wasn't he necessarily, but he said sweetened or unsweetened. Okay? And I thought he was talking about, the dry rub icon, that, do you want sweet or unsweetened barbecue sauce? And then, of course, he was referring to tea, which we don't drink tea in the West, you know what I mean? It's Coke and Coke Zero and, Pepsi products, so that threw me for a minute. But no, the answer is I like dry rub, preferably, and not vinegar, typically. But vinegar's okay, too. It depends. It depends who mixes it.
Barbecue connoisseur, I guess.
Yes, sir. But thank you.
Thank you again, and welcome. We'll certainly look forward to it.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Mr. Chair, moving on with the report, under recognitions, want to take just a moment. We have two, at least, that I'm aware of, NACO presidential appointees amongst our team of Richland County. You may recall seeing information coming out on behalf of Vice Chair Councilman Von McBride, but we also have, in addition to Ms. McBride, one of our members of the IT department, specifically in our GS division, Dr. Patrick Bresnahan, who may be joining us via Zoom. He may not be, but we wanted to acknowledge those presidential appointees from NACO. So I just wanted to take a moment to do that on behalf of the county. Also, while we were at the South Carolina Association of Counties Conference this year, Richland County, through the help of several departments, we did submit two, competitive presentations. One was the J. Mitchell Graham competition, and then one was the COVID-19 response and resiliency showcase. Both of those items are actually on SCAC's website. They include not only a presentation done by me, but they include a video. Some of that video was kind of done in 2020, but it shows some of the activities that the county did out with the masking events and supporting the community that way. And the county was recognized for its efforts. I know some could not stay. But I did bring here, and I'll do it kind of like Lion King style. I'll hold it up. We were acknowledged for this year, we're acknowledged for our participation, but hopefully in the future, we'll be acknowledged for winning this award again. There were some meaningful competitors, but that does not go to say that Richland County and what we did was not impactful. So I did want you to be aware of that. We certainly plan on competing. And we plan on winning here in the near future. Moving on with recognitions, I want to take a moment just to recognize that myself and I'm aware of Councilmember Terratio and maybe of others, but I just wasn't aware. We did complete our level 1 graduation information. So that is something that I did put in the packet. I didn't have Ms. Terratio's copy, but she did complete hers this cycle as well. So if there's anyone I missed, that's on the council that needs to let me know now, please. I don't want anybody to feel like I just picked Mr. Ratio.
I will say I did get my certificate in the mail.
Okay.
And it is displayed for my whole family to see.
It's pretty nice, actually. It's a nice certificate. So try to move on quickly here. Also want to do one more presentation. I'm gonna put my mask back on, but when I pass this out. But I did note on your agenda packet, I received this from the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, and it was a presentation that they asked me to make to Dr. Thompson for completion of the Advanced Professional Series associated with disaster operations. And so I wanted to do that. And while, it's something that he completed, it's something that certainly benefits all of us as we know we're going through various emergency management issues, and we have teams of staff members, but then we have somebody on the administrative side that can act as a good conduit. So I wanted to make sure that we took just a brief moment to do that. So let me put my mask on. I'll meet you at the podium, Dr. Thompson. Just real quick here. Say congratulations on behalf of the adjunct for a job well done. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate you, sir.
All right, thank you
so much.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's move on to the,
Before you move on from
Okay.
recognitions, let me
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
just say to Mr. Breslev, in particular, our colleague, Ms. McBride, for their selections with NACO. I'm sure that both will represent us extremely well. We're extremely proud and happy to have them in that leadership role on a national level to represent our great county. So again, thank y'all so very much. And then also to our county staff for the NACO, the Cyclone Association Awards. And to Dr. Thompson, and Mr. Brown, and Mr. Rachel, and everyone who completed a certificate with the Cyclone Association of Counties. Congratulations to you as well. So it seems that we've had a great month. So thanks.
yes, sir.
You go ahead, Mr. Brown, unless anyone
Yes,
want
sir.
to make any comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. And the purpose of me doing that is to not only demonstrate the level of people that you have working here, but to encourage other of our co-workers to continue to keep up the good work in their representation of Richland County. Moving on to the coronavirus update, what I did was I put information in the packet that shows you kind of where we were the last time we got together in a kind of a regular meeting as compared to where we were at the time of this posting. I'll give you two quick points and then I'll move on from this item unless there are additional questions. So back in the end of July, I just want to point out that our level of incidents in Richland County, we were in the moderate tier. And specifically at that time, we were reporting at 58.21 confirmed cases per 100,000 related to COVID-19. Now, if you look at to where we are now, the incident rate for Richland County is at a high tier, and we're at 925 confirmed per 100,000. So that is a significant difference from their time period. Also, at the time, we were still back in July right below 5%, but now we were at this reporting, we're at 10.7%, and we're up from that since this reporting. So again, just to let you know what the level of occurrence of COVID-19 is in the community based on SCDHEX reported information. You also see the percent positive as well as the number of folks that were vaccinated in Richland County and in South Carolina as a part of that report. Moving on, I want to touch bases on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. I'll give you an update on that. As part of our project updates, you will see that Emergency Rental Assistance Program number 1, Richland County has obligated roughly 100% of its funding. And that is no small feat. If you've been keeping up with any of the national news, you will know that there are very few organizations in the nation who have expended the funds that Richland County has expended. I certainly want to thank Mike King, who may or may not be on the Zoom call right now, for his efforts as a program manager. He's done a yeoman's job along with supporting staff. But again, I just want to take a moment because not only are we recognizing that, but the U.S. Treasury has. Richland County has been asked to participate in a number of roundtable discussions, as well as to submit information to Treasury about the program. So this is something that we should be proud of and demonstrates the efficacy of the work that we're doing with the program. So that's ERA 1. So not only were we doing a good job with that, but we got rid of all those funds, and we've actually were awarded $9.9 million in a second award related to ERA. So we're calling that ERA 2. And what you see in the packet here is we've already received 40% of that money. And according to Treasury, you cannot get the rest of it until you hit a certain threshold. So, but we have already, as I showed in the packet, have allocated over $1 million, and they've given us permission to go ahead and apply for the other 60% of those funds. So all that money is specific to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So I wanted to just take a moment and just talk about that and make sure you all were aware of that, because there's a lot of information out there about agencies statewide, whether it's counties or cities or state agencies that have not done a good job as Richland County has. And I want you to know you've been recognized for that through your staff. So I'll just take a moment to see if there are any questions about that before I move on to additional project updates.
Mr. Chair?
Questions?
Thank you. Not any questions, but just wanted to say thank you to the staff. Mr. King especially, and all of the staff that worked to answer these phone calls and take the applications, and just been willing to continue to improve the process when they notice where improvements exist or deficiencies exist. And we thank you and hope that you continue to keep up this good work and make sure that folks know we still have money and we're here to help.
We do have money. We are here to help, so please continue to apply.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Brown, I want to thank you for the personal touch that you give to our constituents, that they're able to reach out to you and you personally call them back. And I want to thank you for that, and thank your staff for the awesome work that they're doing. Thank you, Ms. Mackey, for mentioning that. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Administrator, and to the staff, I want to thank you for the work that you've done about getting the money out. And I'm happy that we're getting additional funds to help. I continue to urge us that this is emergency funding, and whatever we can do to help get the funds out. And I know we're doing a good job, but I know this is a national problem in terms of it being emergency funded and getting it out in time to help those that are in the greatest need. So I look forward to the second phase, where we can at least move a little quicker in terms of getting the money in the hands of those that need it. But I do appreciate and recognize the efforts of you and staff. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I'll be real quick because I've been singing the praises of Administrator Brown and his team and Mr. King for this process. I think you guys have done a stellar job, and all the recognition that we're getting to bring positive light to Richland County. Thank you, and thank you for your level of excellence and commitment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, a few more project updates. I'll try to get through these, but these are things that, as council went on recess, these are items that were kind of pending, so I want to let you know where they are now. So as you see, project update 1 on the sports tourism complex work session, those are dates that we have received from Richland County Recreation Commission. Would ask that you please look at your calendar because we are prepared to receive the information that they have related to the sports tourism complex, which was one of the items that the council asked for a work session about. And so we're ready to move forward with that. So have that on there as an update, but those are dates that we're looking for you to look at your calendar to see what may work for the body. Related to the public safety complex, I won't go into all the details there, but we are moving forward with that. At this point, we do have the architect, and at this next phase, what we're looking to do is we are looking to hire a construction manager at risk, and we've decided that that would be kind of the best way to go. One of the questions that the group had for me is, we understand that council has given the directive to move forward and go ahead. Want to get some general understanding of, is that get everything done, come back to council with updates, or how much of that is come to you with approval, come to you with approval? So I'm trying to get an understanding of what leeway I have to move the project down the line and come to you with updates, or should it be more along the lines that each time that we're taking a step that we come to you for an approval? Like, for example, hiring a construction manager at risk. Is that something I need to come back to the council and ask for approval for? If that cost is less than, well, if this is my threshold, I know I don't necessarily need to do that, but how much do you want me to be including you in moving forward with this process? Because that determines maybe how fast or how slow we can really move. So there's some general guidance for that. I would like to understand what your motion to get this done means from your perspective.
Just speaking for myself, one thing that'd be helpful for me is just to have an idea of what are those major steps, and so I can look at it and say, well, this step I'm fine with, you just move on here and there and so forth. But just what are those major steps we could be going through would be helpful for me.
Okay.
From Mr. Brown.
Yeah, the public safety complex.
Yes, ma'am, on public safety complex right now. Yes, ma'am.
I think that the updates are good, but by law, you have certain responsibilities and certain things that you can do. And I think that it would be good that you follow those, but do provide the updates, because I don't want us to get, or you to get caught up in stagnating the project by coming back and going forth with every little detail. So I think just the update is important, and if there are things that you think are major that we might need council input, then I can see coming back.
Here, I agree with Ms. McBride with that process. I did have a question. Is this appropriate at this time? So my question, I heard you say that we've awarded a architect already. Does that mean that we've signed, sealed, and delivered, awarded? Where are we in that process?
Yeah, I mean, we're at the conclusion of that, like literally worked out the financial pieces, and really at this point it's about executing the agreement.
Then the construction risk, construction manager at risk.
We have not hired that person. That's kind of what I'm talking to you about now.
Okay.
Certainly if it's under my threshold, then I can go ahead and move forward with that. But the team just wanted to make sure that we were clear on the level of involvement council was expecting, but at the same time, moving this forward, what that means. So we want to marry that, make sure we have a good mix.
So it sounds like what I hear you saying is now that you have the guidance, you're able to move forward somewhat quickly. It sounds like you have
Yes, ma'am.
an idea of where you're going with this.
You answered my question today, so we're going to move forward with the construction manager at risk, kind of like we thought, but again, want to be clear and open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I would like to second that motion that Ms. McBride made so that there's no doubt that this council is allowing the administrator to move forward.
Can you, what he's referencing?
I guess the motion was to give you the authority to move forward per your authority as administrator.
Okay.
And provide updates as needed as you feel.
Thank you. I feel confident. I thank you, Mr. Manowski, but I got the green light. It's recorded. We're good. Okay. But thank you. I appreciate it. All right, moving on, trying to get through this for you. The next item was DSS. We did meet with the DSS team. As of this update, we actually did receive feedback from them on what they believe to be their projected needs. My team reviewed that. We have some questions because from my perspective, it seems as though they were only requesting 6,000 more square feet than they currently have. So maybe we're reading it wrong, but we're going to meet with them on September 13th. So that's the update. So they did receive information back to us. It just seemed like they weren't asking for enough future space, but maybe they are. We just need to get clarity from them. All right, and so then from there, we would move forward. But we're also we'll be coming to you with a potential funding source. That'll be a combination of another meeting that we'll have with probably COVID ad hoc committee, as well as other interested council members specific to DSS. All right, what questions do you have about DSS? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, in doing the projection of space from DSS, do you know who was involved?
I have the email, but we were at the table with the executives. They went through their same state process and gave it to us just like they had to go through their own procurement and space process. That's what they gave us. So we had questions about it, so we're going to meet with them again on the 13th. Actually, we're going to see if you wanted to be a part of that. The previous meeting that we did have some other folks that came and attended, some interested parties. Representative Finley was there looking to try to move forward with this as well. So you're more than welcome, as long as we don't have a quorum, to participate.
Thank you for that.
Okay. All right. Any
Mr.
additional
Chair?
questions on DSS?
Mr. Chair, may I be recognized? So you see your next meeting is September 13th. After that meeting, I guess, what are your next steps, or what are you expecting to get out of that meeting, and when will you bring something back to us?
We're expecting to get from that the actual amount of space that we'll need, because from there what we're going to be projecting to do is a design build. So it's very important we have the accurate information, because they were sharing space with the Watery, also with Medicaid. So we need to make sure that whatever space that we are putting them into is adequate. Based on what they told us, they considered all these things, but again, based on the numbers, it's literally only 6,000 more square feet than they already have, which we asked them to at least give us 10 years. So now they're looking at doing some, their business model is changing a little bit. They're talking about having some people do remote as well. So maybe that's kind of where some of this is coming from, but we don't want to assume. We want to try to get this right now. And that's why we're going to go back and sit down with them and just make sure that we are clear that they're only asking for the 48,000 square feet. Okay. All right. Solid waste. One quick update on that. I did meet along with my team with all of the current contractors that we have there as haulers. They did communicate that they have been in meetings with our solid waste team. They were aware of what we were going through with the council as a process. They were aware of the recommendations. They were aware, of the service numbers, all of those things. So we talked to each of those folks. I asked to have their executives there. So I had their executive representatives there. We had some very good conversations. We talked about some of their recommendations. And then the other update is, if you see here, I have one update to my update to you is when it says areas 1, 3, and 6 are extended to September 21st, that's actually areas 1 and 6 that are extended. So those were the RFPs out there that are extended, areas 1 and 6. But as you can see, we got the procurement process going for as we prepare the revised maps, and we're really looking forward to getting our other opportunities for folks to try to provide services that we need, because right now we're certainly having a challenge with contracted haulers. I think you all know that, but that's the update related to our solid waste haulers. And then last but not least, I'm trying to see if that was last. I do have two more things here I want to remind you of. One is related to our strategic planning process. You're going to be receiving a contact from Baker Tilly here in the near future. I'll give you just a quick rundown that we expect to begin our process on strategic planning on September the 14th. We expect it would last through the end of November. That's going to be led by Baker Tilly. So you all will be receiving an engagement email from them to get input, stakeholder input from you as we try to create a strategic plan for Richland County with the current council as constructed. So you can be looking forward to receiving that information here in the very near future. And the last thing I'm going to ask you to do is need to see about getting you all together for a current seated council picture. We don't have that. We need to see about getting that together as well. So dates we'll be looking for, council picture, and then dates for the work session for Richland County Rec Commission.
Ask a quick follow-up question. Thank you for that update, Mr. Brown. As a follow-up to your comments about the strategic plan, can you also comment on the community survey? And by which I mean the third-party commission community survey that we were going to do, and not the questions that Richland County was asking ourselves.
Yeah, so that community survey, that got put on hold. I can't remember exactly when. I don't know if I have to go back and take a look when it got put on hold. But that survey is not, that community survey you're talking about is not currently out. So we can put that survey out to run kind of parallel with this, but it is not currently out right now.
Thank you. And I guess then just as a follow-up, I don't want to dictate how that process happens. I do think, though, there are similarities, and I guess I'm curious to know if Baker Tilly is aware that that's an option that the county has, so that they're considering, whether or how they might want to recommend including that in our strategic planning process.
We can certainly have that conversation with them. In our initial conversation, we did not talk about the community survey, but we can definitely do that. I know I have folks taking notes right now, and we'll probably have that conversation with them on tomorrow.
I still have the floor. One thing that wasn't in here, quick question, is when will you be coming back with an update regarding the staff augmentation study?
Yeah, I expect to be coming back to that here in September, so that soon.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown, several months ago, I made a motion for an equity and inclusion study, and I would like to, I know it's been 2 or 3 months now, a status report on that, and would like to meet with you on that.
Yes, ma'am. So status report on that
For the
is-
full council, and then I want to meet.
Okay, yes, ma'am. The status report on that is, initially, we knew that the City of Columbia had started a process, and we were trying to join in with their process in order for, number one, economies of scale, and because they already had someone working, we're trying to piggyback off their RFP to run that. So it wasn't actually until, it wasn't too long ago, I can't remember the date, but I actually spoke to City Manager Wilson because we had been trying to speak with their team about it. We had spoke with their procurement, we had spoke with the Assistant City Manager, and so finally I spoke to Ms. Wilson. I think you and I talked about some feedback, and Ms. Wilson reached out to me and she said, Mr. Brown, please let your team know that the city had approached the county, and she said not just the county but other organizations for years about partnering together on this type of situation, but none of the agencies, and she mentioned more than just us, partnered with them. So they already said our stuff is out the gate, and we don't want to slow our person down. They're concerned about what that would mean in joining in now. So I said thank you, and that's kind of what we talked about. So we just talked about going in on our own, and then they said they'll share information with us, and we could share information with them. But we were not able to ultimately do that. And after speaking with City Manager Wilson, that's what we confirmed. So we're going to have to go in on our own to do that. We were not able to join that process. And so that update came, it wasn't too long ago, because I remember after our conversation, we talked about reaching out to the city manager and maybe other persons if necessary. So that's the update on that particular item. So we were going to have to go out on our own to acquire someone. We were not able to use the person that they're using, Ms. McBride, unfortunately. So.
One of the primary reasons and focus for the equity study is to first look in-house. And that was a primary reason for the motion, and why I support going outside to the external environment. I think we need to look internally first and then move outside, which was part of the motion. So thank you.
Okay. We can talk.
Sure that it shouldn't take that long now that we've looked for several months, and it primarily is internal. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. That was it, Mr. Chair. That concludes all of my project updates.
Very much. Brings to item 11 on the agenda. That's a report of the interim clerk of council. Ms. Black, is there anything to report from the clerk's office?
No, sir, there's no report.
Thank you. Next item is the report of the chair. I don't have any report, but pretty soon you'll be getting some information regarding from planning regarding the land development code and trying to set some meetings and dates for that and so forth. So please try to follow through when you start receiving that information and give them feedback as quick as you can. Next item is item 13. That is open and closed public hearings. 13A, authorize execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad-valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, to provide for payment of fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other matters. That public hearing is open. Anyone sign up to speak to that public hearing?
No, sir.
Okay. It's now closed. That brings us to item 14 on your agenda, which is approval of consent items. and that's 14A through D. Mr. Mallon, you recognize?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to remove item D as in Delta, and I would move to approve the other three, A, B, and C.
Second.
Proper second for a motion to approve items 14A, B, and C. Any discussion? There be none.
Mr. Chair?
Miss, you recognize Ms. McBride?
Yes, item 14C, for discussion, I would just like to remove that.
So the motions for items 14A and B. I could call the roll for the motion, which is now items 14A and B.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, and Mr. Walker is on the line, yes. That brings us to item 14C, case number 21-21 AMA, Matthew Condon from PD to PD. That's Farrell Road. Ms. McBride?
Yes, I don't know if someone's here to speak on it, but Ms. Barron, because we sort of shared some of the areas, and I've had several constituents to call, not fully understanding the changes, and I was not able to give them all the specifics in terms of explaining it, so I don't know if we had someone that could.
There's someone here.
Yes, please.
Hey, yes, Ms. McBride, this is Kevin Steelman. I'm with Land Tech, and we're co-developing this property with Matthew Congdon, who was the applicant. We're residential developers, and we're purchasing the northern half of this property. It's the Killian Crossing PDD, which has been under development for some time. I think it was originally approved in 2010. There's a lot of commercial development that's already occurred along the Killian Road portion of the property on the south side of the property, and this is just an amendment to the PD that's reducing the overall density from 2,100 residential units down to, I think it's 1,750, and relocating some of the commercial uses. But overall, it's a reduction of density that's being applied for in this amendment.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And on item 14C, Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval and properly second. There be no discussion. Ms. Black, can you call the roll for item 14C and include Mr. Joe Walker in that roll call?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Brings us to item 14D. Ms. Malinowski, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for the sake of completeness, I believe that this is a one reading item, but there's nothing in our agenda showing that it went to a committee to be vetted. For the sake, like I say, of completeness, this item went to the DNS committee on July the 27th, 2021. The committee recommended approval. And with that, unless there's something else someone would like to say, I'd just like committee comments and recommendations put in the agenda packet, so I would move to approve.
Motion for approval, is there a second?
Second.
Moving properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Ms. Black, can you call the roll?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
motion passed.
Brings us to item
Mr. Chair,
Miss,
does
you
that
want
need to
recognize,
be
Ms.
reconsidered at all?
You can, yes, ma'am, that's fine.
Okay, I will move to reconsider that item.
Motion for reconsideration, item 14D.
Second.
And properly second. Any further discussion? That's a motion for reconsideration. Please call the roll for the motion for reconsideration, Ms. Black.
Malinowski, Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio, Joe Walker,
No.
Barron,
No.
Overture Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion failed.
Brings to item 15A, which is our third reading items. And 15A is authorized execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and incentive agreement by and between Richland County, South Carolina, Project Moore, to provide for payment of fee in lieu of taxes, authorizing certain infrastructure credits and other related matters. Chair, entertain a motion for item 15A.
So move.
It's been moved
Second.
and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, I'll ask Mrs. Black to call the roll for item 15A.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
There's item 16, which is our second reading items. Item 16A is 21-0110 MA. Kevin Steelman, that's from PD to PDD. 8930 Rabbit Run. Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Motion for
Second.
approval. It's proper second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, may I be recognized?
Ms. Newton, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is the rezoning to downzone a property in my district, which would decrease the total number of housing units by about 200 units. This is second reading of that item, and the developer has been working with me to update some of the language in the PDD to capture the conversations that we've had with the community. I just want to note I will be voting against this item tonight so that it's not on the consent agenda when it comes before us for third reading. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Question there being none, this motion's been moved and properly. Did we get a motion on this?
Yes, you
It's
did.
moving properly second. I'll ask Ms. Black to call the roll for the motion regarding item 16A.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
No.
Motion passed.
Bring us to item 16B, approving the lease and sale of certain real property located in and owned by Richland County, authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement with Magnus Development Partners, LLC, and other matters related. Chair, entertain a motion.
So move.
It's been moved for approval.
Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, I'll ask Mrs. Black to call the roll for the motion for item 16B.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio, Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passed.
That brings us to item 17, which is other items, 17A, B, C, and D. And these are hospitality allocations for districts 3, 5, and 7.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Recognize.
like to make a motion to approve A through D.
Motion for approval for items A through D.
Second.
And properly second. Any discussion?
Yes. Mr. Chair,
Mrs. McBride, you
I
recognize.
would like to make a correction on item 17A. On pages 135 to 136,
There's no objection on the other. We'll just hold A and just go ahead and vote on the other and come back to A.
okay.
So the motions for B, C, and D. Mrs. Upper second. There, further discussion. Mrs. Black, can you call the roll for the motion for approval for items 17, B, C, and D?
Malinowski,
No.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That brings us back to item 17A. Ms. McBride, you recognize.
Yes, the amount was a typo. The amount was 20,000, and the name of it was Movie Fest and Health Fair. It had move, so just corrections. Yes, sir. 135 and 136.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, on 136, the amount was for 30,000. And the name is Meeting Place Fall Movie and Health Festival. It has move, but it's movie.
Okay. And the amount was
30,000. I think I may have submitted this AM, early AM. Those changes, Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
There's a motion for approval. There's a second.
Second.
Moving properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Ms. Mack, can you call the roll?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston, Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Chair, I would like to move a reconsideration for items 17A, B, C, and D.
Motion
Second.
is for consideration of items 17A, B, C, and D. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving properly second. Mrs. Black, can you call the roll for the motion for reconsideration of items 17A, B, C, and D?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston, Teratio,
No.
Joe Walker, Barron,
No.
Overture Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton.
No.
Motion failed.
That brings us to item 18, which is executive session. And there are 3 executive session items. The chair would entertain a motion for.
Mr. Chair,
And yes, go ahead. Please.
before we move to executive session, could I have a point of personal privilege, please?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I just want to thank the entire Richland County staff for their support of my event. Special thanks to Dr. Thompson and Special Services, making things happen, Small Minority Business, Richland County Library, and the staff was just awesome. So thank you for a successful event and just showing our community exactly what Richland County can do. Thank you.
I would like to have a point of privilege.
Recognize, go ahead.
I would like to thank all my colleagues that came out to the Stuff the Bus event against the city versus the county. And just for the record, this is being recorded. We did beat the city, and we were able to supply 10 schools with enough supplies that was overwhelming. Everybody was so excited, and that was from District 1 and District 2. So I just want to thank everybody for the support.
Thank you. Thank you for your leadership and effort on that. That brings us to executive session items. That's items 7B, C, and D. 7B is legal update reference regarding Allen Wilson versus City of Columbia. 7C, Crown Point Development LLC versus Maryville LLC versus Richland County. And 7D, Greater Columbia Community Development Corp., Columbia Christian Ministries, CDR, and City of Columbia in reference to a road closure case. Entertain a motion to go into executive session for those 3 items.
Move.
It's been moved
Second.
and properly second. Mr. Mallon, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally, when it comes to road closures, we just have information in front of us. We discuss it if we need to and vote in open session. Is there something that's different on these road closures?
No, sir. These came in during your break, and just for time purposes, I wanted to get them on an agenda because I have 30 days to answer in general. So I brought them to executive session as opposed to going through the committee process this time. But I'm sure I can get an extension if you're opposed to that. I was just going to kind of cover the cases with you in executive session. I mean, there's nothing, really outstanding about them. Just cover the cases with you in executive session and see what you thought. It is my fault that you didn't get the actual case. I should have sent it out beforehand, but I have everything with me, and you can decide that.
And we'll hear those and decide whether we take action or not.
If there's nothing that's different from the way we normally do it, is there any reason we just can't conduct this in our open session under your report here?
I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I don't think there's anything. I wouldn't really need to be giving legal advice. I will share with you what the lawsuit says. So.
Well, but if
That's up to you guys, though.
But would that limit council members from asking for specific questions that might be helpful for them to better understand this, and it may create a legal disadvantage for you? Is that possible?
It's possible. I wouldn't anticipate this being a big issue, but I don't know if any of you will have any concerns about these areas that I don't know about. Nothing I saw really brought anything to mind, but I don't know what involvement any of you may have had with it. So that, again, I'll defer to you guys.
The motion is to take up these 3 items in executive session. Have we carried that motion yet? No?
Mr. Chair? If I could maybe offer a substitute motion, again, I stuck those in my bag, so I would move to take the road closures out of the motion for executive session and try to hear them in the public forum.
Second.
Okay, and so the road closure will be 7C and D. Ms. McLean, go ahead.
Okay, well, if you have no big desire to go to executive session, I can actually, unless some of you have concerns about the Alan Wilson City of Columbia case that you think you need to go into executive session for, I can give you an update of what happened today without having to go into executive session. That's up to y'all. If you have any more detailed questions about anything the county's planning to do or anything like that, we should go into executive session. But if you just want an update of what happened today in that case and what we had filed going up to that, I'd be glad to do that in open session as well. So I'm not sure how in depth you want to get, but you can again decide that part.
If there's no objection, then why don't we just proceed on items B, C, and D in open session? If there's a need to go into executive session on that item, then we'll just simply punt at that point and just simply move into executive session. If someone have a question that requires executive session response. Is there any objections to that?
Mr. Chair?
Do we need a motion?
Well, I thought we had a motion in a second. I thought we were in discussion.
We need a different motion to.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there weren't any objections before we decide on what we want to do. The motion, there is a motion on the floor. If there's no objection, then we just need a substitute motion.
Mr. Chair?
Based on what I just said.
Okay. May I be recognized?
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to find out from our attorney, then why exactly was it placed in executive session, not under your initial report, if we don't need to go in executive session? I just want to make sure we're getting the correct legal advice versus what we feel. What is the legal advice?
It's optional when in things like this. It really depends on how in-depth you want me to go. I can discuss, we talked about the amicus brief. I can talk about our legal strategies and things like that, or I cannot. I can give you a broad overview, which is fine in open session. So it's just for an option. It's to give you the choice if you need it.
And I personally think it's always extremely important to have that option, so you won't get here and need to go into executive session and you didn't present it as an executive session item, then you have issues dealing with it. So I'd much rather be able to remove it than not do it if I had to.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I make a substitute motion that we remain here in public session and discuss items B, C, and D as listed on our agenda, unless we get to a point that the attorney says we need to go to executive session to go further.
Heard that?
Second that.
Motion, it's substitute motion, proper second. Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Black, can you call the roll for a substitute motion?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
No.
Overture Walker,
No.
Mackey,
No.
English,
No.
Newton,
Yes.
motion passed.
You may proceed, Ms. McLean.
Thank you, sir. The first item is 7B, that's the legal update of Allen Wilson v. City of Columbia. As you'll know through the emails I sent you, the county filed an amicus brief on this case. That is a kind of a friend of the court brief, meaning that the case was important to us and we thought it as necessary to give our advice and our legal opinion on what the law was. The court always has the right to read those or not, take them into consideration or not. So that was filed along with one from the City of Charleston, and I believe the South Carolina Education Association filed one on City of Columbia's behalf. Thank you. So today, the Supreme Court had oral arguments on that case at 10 a.m. and followed at 11 a.m. by the Richland School District 2's case for injunction related to the state budget provisos. What I can tell you is it's a contentious issue. We won't know for a little while. I'm assuming they'll come with the Richland School District 2's decision fairly quickly, given that they're asking for an injunction, a temporary injunction. We won't know for a little while what the outcome is. I think it was argued well on both sides, and it's hard to say. There were certainly some strong opinions from the justices. It kind of was going 3-2 either way at certain times, so I really couldn't give you any idea about what I think is going to happen, but that's where we are, and I'm hopeful that we'll get a decision pretty quickly on that. Any questions? All right. Crown Point Development LLC and Mirabelle LLC. You got some maps. Let me see which one this is. All right. This one is the one that's got the green on it, and it's a little cul-de-sac. This is going to be in Miss Barron's district. It is, it's Alpine Circle, which is off of Two Notch Road. If you were going out to Notch, you turn right on Alpine Road. Alpine Circle's towards the left. So the property owners at the end of this cul-de-sac, that's going to be to the right of the green circle and to the left of the green circle, are asking that portion of the cul-de-sac be closed. They contend that no other property owners will be disadvantaged by this road closing. They'll take over maintenance of the end of the road, the cul-de-sac. They're asking the court to deed it to them. They theoretically get half and half. That's what usually happens. Per the state law, they have noticed the surrounding property owners. They placed an ad in the newspaper. Anybody can join in and come to the court when the hearing happens to provide feedback. Thus far, I don't think they've had any negative feedback that I've heard of. And per the county ordinance, I have forwarded this case to our planning department, public works department, and our emergency services department to get their feedback. All three departments said there would be no negative anything to this road closing. The EMS doesn't need to, it will not provide any access issues, which is usually our biggest issue. And planning and public works had no issues as well. So what I need from you is a vote saying, yes, I have to answer this lawsuit. So essentially what happens is, and some of you are new to this, so to give me the go-ahead, I need you to say, yes, it's okay if we consent to this road closure or not. Typically, if we don't have any big issues in our departments, you would go forward with that, but that's totally up to you. So I'm bringing it to you in this manner, because just for a time issue. Usually this would come through a committee. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. No, Mr. Malinowski, I apologize again for not getting this to you via email. I completely forgot. I was busy and I did not send out the package like I should have.
Hey, Mr. Attorney McLean, quickly, that is, who is the controller of the road now? Is it the county or the state?
It's a county maintained road.
County maintained?
As far as, if I recall, yep.
And do you know the total acreage that we're talking about here?
I do. Let's see. Actually, it's 255 feet and 66 feet wide is what I can tell you. Whatever that, 0.42 acres. There we go.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Here. Ms. McLean, I guess and I may have missed this. They're specifically asking for this road to be closed for their private purposes because there's no one else down at the end of this cul-de-sac but the property owners?
Correct. And the court would take that into consideration. They don't want to cut anybody off from a road. So their contention is that no one would be harmed if we cut off this road because the only properties access are their two properties at the end of the cul-de-sac.
So
one on the left and one on the right if you're looking at the map.
Yeah, so that would just mean that this now would become a private road.
Correct.
From whatever that, I guess, right past that last cul-de-sac.
Correct. It's if you look at your map, it starts at the property line there, or kind of, the blue property. It starts there and goes up, or the blue lined property and goes up. So, yes, starting there, it would be privately maintained. They would have to put up signs, and they'd be responsibility for the maintenance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you mentioned this, but I wasn't clear. You brought this to us via this format because of time sensitivity. Just for my information, can you remind me what that deadline is?
Sure. When this is just filed as a lawsuit, so I usually have 30 days to answer. And since you were on break, it just made it a little more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So there is not an emergency or anything, and this is a normal process that if you have land and then you decide I want to close off this road, it's not going to hurt anybody, so I'm just going to close it off and make it private. Is that a normal process?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And excuse me, go ahead.
State law that allows it, and a county ordinance for that matter, but yes, ma'am.
So what is the benefit, the pros and cons for the county to do this?
Well, the pro would be we don't maintain 255 feet of road. The con, typically there are no known cons to this right now. That's why we take two relevant departments. They being planning, public works, and EMS have found nothing negative about the effects of this road closure. So right now I don't see any cons, but that's kind of what we're here for. If you see anything, have any thoughts or problems, it's a really normal process. We probably have, 5 a year maybe, where somebody comes and wants to close a portion of a road. And we're named typically because it's a county maintained road or it's just in the county. And part of it, part of us being in the county is that there's state law that says we got to maintain county roads. And so they just want to close out everything correctly and make sure that nobody has any more rights or interest to the road. So
there's no land behind this road or anything? Because I can't tell by that may one day be open up or needed.
I can give you a a little bit bigger picture of it. So if you go a little further, the property to the kind of left of the cul-de-sac is Atrium Place Apartments. It's a big apartment complex, so they couldn't go further back through there. And to the right of it is another road, Horseshoe Circle. But I can bring up another little picture if you like. But there's not a whole lot back there that they could just go through to.
So do you, are the people from Atrium like coming through that land now? Why they want to close it or anything, or do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. It doesn't look like from here there's any passageway from Atrium Apartments through. They would be having to go through private property anyway, so.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair. Attorney McLean, just so I kind of understand, so you say these are kind of normal, we get about 5 a year. I don't know if it's you or staff, do we track these? And I don't know, a few years from now, if they sell their property, are we having people then come back and say, I want the county now to take back over this road? Or is it pretty much, once we get rid of them, they kind of stay private roads?
They stay private roads, and you'll find like the next one here is not even a road. It's platted road. It is a wooded area, so some of these aren't really roads. This is the tip of a road. Most of the time, well, at least half the time, they're not actually drivable, usable roads. They were some dirt path or something was platted and never actually created. So they're just trying to take care of any legal interest somebody may have. If you're talking about an actual road, which is this one, it's a teeny bit of a road. Now, I'm not aware that anybody's ever really come back, because what happens is, they're just deeded the property. It doesn't even look like a road anymore. So there'll be a line, they'll do new plats, and as part of those plats, it'll just show their property line as a corner as opposed to the cul-de-sac.
Have a motion for item 7C? Or do we need a motion?
Yes, sir, we need one.
And so, yeah, I just want to be clear with that motion. We are pretty much giving our attorney the consent to move forward.
That's correct.
I'll be glad to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to give our attorney consent to move forward with the road closure as presented tonight.
The motion is second.
Second.
Moving properly second. Any further discussion? If not, Ms. Black, can you call roll for the motion for item 7C?
Malinowski.
Yes.
Pugh.
Yes.
McBride.
Yes.
Livingston. Teratio.
Yes.
Joe Walker. Barron.
Yes.
Overture Walker.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That brings us to item 7D, Greater Columbia Community Development Corp., Greater Columbia Ministries versus DOT. This is another road closure. Chair, entertain a motion. Do you want to present that first?
Yes, sir. Let me just tell you a little bit about it. This is the Greater Columbia Community Development Corporation, formerly known as Grace Christian Ministries. This is in Mr. Livingston's district. It's out Monticello Road, off of Club Road, between Club and Brickyard Road, relatively near Eau Claire High School, west of Eau Claire High School. So this road, if you look at the little plat I gave you, it's the red area, and this is the one where I was just discussing. There's no road there.
I'm about to say there's really no road.
There's not. It's a private piece of property that had a platted road on it. It was never created. It's just wooded. We had Department of Public Works go out and check it out. There's just woods. So there are no surrounding property owners in this case that would have they don't have access to it now, so they would not be cut off from any further access. Public Works, Planning, and EMS don't have any issues. And this property owner, honestly, they already own this land, so all the court would have to do is extinguish any right we may have to this platted road that was never created. So this one's a little more easy going for us, but still, just need your consent if you'll give it.
I'm saying one thing about these roads that are platted and never created is they become, a lot of times, the dumping ground for folks to dump stuff.
Move to approve.
Motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moving proper second to approve, to support the, road closure. Any discussion? If not, Ms. Black can call the roll for the motion regarding item 7D.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion passed.
That now brings us to our second citizen input session. Does anyone sign up to speak, Ms. McBride?
There no one
We're
signed
taking
up.
care of them, right? That,
19
There's a motion
motion
here.
period. We're 19, right? Motion.
motion period, yes. We have one motion as a resolution recognizing October 4th, 2021 as World Habitat Day in Richland County. Mr. Rachel, you want?
Yes, that's to just honor the work that Habitat for Humanity does in the community.
For the motion for,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I would be happy to move for unanimous consent and present a resolution to the body in the coming day or so. I could do that. I could probably do it right now, if
No.
anybody feels like reading it.
I would, Mr. Chair, if I would interject here, as long as we get it by the next meeting. There's plenty of time before this.
Second.
I can just add this on the agenda. For discussion?
All right. Motion is for you.
I'm saying to just have it, to move forward to the agenda for the next meetings, so we can take action on it. I think is what Ms. Manasseh was saying.
Is that what your intention?
Yeah, I'm for unanimous consent, and then at the next meeting, bring forward that resolution, we can read it.
Further discussion? Proper second for this unanimous consent, and put on the next agenda with action document itself. Ms. Black can call the roll for the motion.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passed.
Move for reconsideration.
Second?
Proper second reconsideration. Ms. Black can call the roll for the motion of reconsideration.
Malinowski,
No.
Pugh,
No.
McBride,
No.
Livingston,
No.
Teratio,
No?
Joe Walker, Barron,
No.
Overture Walker,
No.
Mackey, English,
No.
Newton. Motion failed.
Move to adjourn.
And before we adjourn, let me just firstly thank Ms. Black for taking over tonight in the role of, in terms of clerk's role, and done a good job in getting us through the meeting tonight. So Ms. Black, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, been moved. Was there a second? Moving properly second. Ms. Black can call the roll for the motion for adjournment.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Livingston,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Joe Walker, Barron,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey, English,
Yes.
Newton. Motion passed.